Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi.
Shalom, my beautiful friend.
Hello. I think we're okay with the audio this time. I think we're going to be good. Baruch
I
Hashem.
hear you perfectly.
It's amazing. Everything's amazing. Baruch Hashem. We're finally getting here. It's really good. Hodul Hashem ki tov, ki l'olam chasto. Now then, let's get this thing onto YouTube. Live on YouTube. Dear. Wants me to do, oh dear, wants me to sign in with all sorts of interesting things. Forget that. I'm going to do all that. I don't know
I
why.
had to do that on WhatsApp today.
Oh, golly. Wow. So where am I? Where's Zoom? That was, admit. I'm going to just record it. Is it recording? It's recording. Okay, then I'll upload it afterwards because otherwise I'll get myself all into a muddle and that would not be good. Now then, I'm still in a bit of a muddle with finding things. It always happens on new computers. I forgot to get the prayer ready. Let me just find that. Here we are. Oh no, one up. That should be. Right. Prayer. Here we go. Found. There you go. Now, Zoom, share. All right. Okay, slowly, we're getting there. ריבון עולמים ואדוני אדונים, אב רחמן וסליחות, מודים אנחנו לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, בקידה, בשתחוויה, שקרבתנו לתורתך ולעבודתך עבודת הקודש. ונתת לנו חלק בסודות תורתך הקדושה, מה אנו ומי חיינו, אשר עשית עמנו חסד גדול כזה. על כן אנחנו מפילים תחנוננו לפניך, שתמחול ותסלח לכל חטאותינו ועוונותינו, ואל יהיו עוונותינו מבדילים בינינו לבינך, וכן יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, שתכונן את לבבינו ליראתך ולבבך, ותקשיב אוזניך לדברינו אלה, ותפתח לבבינו הערל בסודות תורתך, ויהיה לימודנו זה נחת רוח, לפני כיסא כבודך כריח ניחוח, ותאציל עלינו, אור מקור נשמתנו בכל בחינתנו, שיתנוצצו ניצוצות עבודך הקדושים, אשר על ידם גילית דבריך אלה בעולם, וזכותם וזכות אבותם, וזכות תורתם ותמימותם וקדושתם, יעמוד לנו לבל ניכשל בדברים אלו. ובזכותם תראיננו במה שאנו לומדים, כמאמנעים זמירות ישראל, גל עיני והביטה נפלאות מתורתך, כי אדוני ייתן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה, יולעות צוני מפי, ויגון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. אמן, כן יהי רצון. So we're going to dedicate our learning for Shalema, for all the wounded, both in Israel and in Australia. Okay, now then, we're going to start, where is it? We're going to start with Rabbi Baruch Shalom Ashlag. Okay. V'yigash elav Yehuda, and Yehuda drew near to him. Who did he draw near to? He drew near to Yosef, to Joseph. Now, at the time, he didn't know it was Joseph, but in the inner meanings, it's fascinating what's going on here, because you've got two main ways of serving God. All right, one is called the aspect of David, the aspect Mashiach ben David, the Mashiach of the son of David. And that is the aspect of faith, okay, where you're simply going in faith. And Yehuda represents, therefore, the aspect of the Malchut. Yehuda is the king. He's the king of the brothers. He's Malchut. He represents Malchut. Okay, and what is Malchut? The way of Malchut, be in affinity of form with the Creator, is to let go of the will to receive and to simply go in faith. So Yehuda is the aspect of faith, all right? And Yosef is the aspect of revelation, of the light of God being revealed, okay? So then, in fact, Joseph, so they've got these two very opposite ways of serving God. Okay, they're both valid. It's like you've got Hillel and Shammai. Hillel was what is more like Yehuda. Shammai is more like Yosef, more like Yosef. They're both valid, they're different. Okay, they're opposite in many ways. So Yehuda has done something very extraordinary. Okay, before he meets Yosef, what has he done? He's made a vow of becoming a guarantor with Binyamin. Now again, Binyamin belongs to Yosef. Okay, Joseph and Binyamin belong to. Their mother is Rachel, Rachel. And if you look at the Zerampin is divided into two. The top half is called Leah, the bottom half is called Rachel. And again, the top half is faith, the bottom half is revelation. So Joseph, Yehuda, before he's met Yosef, or become aware of who he is at least, has made this incredible pact of arivut, of becoming a guarantor for Binyamin. So again, he's come towards, he's more than come towards, he's become one with, in some ways, his opposite. Okay, so this arivut, this unity that he's made with Benjamin, when Yaakov said, go back down to Egypt, and they said we can't because we got to bring the Binyamin with, we have to bring Binyamin with, and he says no, and he doesn't let them go, and then they're all going to be starving, and finally Yehuda says, if I will be surety for Binyamin. Seek him from my hand, and if not, I've sinned against you, not only in this, all my days. And by that, the Midrash says, not only in this world, but in the world to come as well. So Yehuda has made this unity, and Arivut is unity. Becoming guarantor means unity, and he's made this unity with what is actually his spiritual opposite. Okay, and this is the underlying factor which eventually brings Israel to encamp before Mount Sinai, Ke'ish echad belev echad, as one man with one heart. Okay, and it begins here. So I thought a lot about Brotherhood and how Brotherhood is brought about in the Torah, and you can really see how it is a development, because you start off with Brotherhood right at the very beginning. You've got Cain and Abel, and we know the story. Cain murders Abel. All right. Then you have Yitzhak and Shmuel. Yitzhak and what am I talking about? Yitzhak and Ishmael. Okay. Now they don't. Ishmael mocks Yitzhak and he gets sent away. They grow up separately. There's no real connection between them. Then you have Yaakov and Esav, and again they are antagonists. All right. Eventually they come to some sort of arrangement, but you can see that they are antagonists. So when you have Joseph and the brothers, you can see there is no frame of reference for brotherhood at all. I mean, the only frame of reference of brothers that they know about is being antagonistic. All right. And so when we see what actually happens with Joseph and the brothers, we can see that in fact it's not so much out of the pattern that Joseph gets sold to Egypt by his brothers. I mean, it's kind of, you look at the family history, it's not a good family history for brotherhood. And yet it's what happens as a consequence of Joseph being sold into Egypt is the brothers begin to feel the lack of brotherhood. They do tshuva. They begin to realize what they've done, and they begin to want brotherhood. Okay. And then you see the beginning of not just brotherhood, but unity. When Yehuda becomes a guarantor with Benjamin, he's going to put his life on the line. He's going to put himself there instead of Benjamin. Okay. And putting himself as a slave instead of Benjamin is putting your life on the line completely. All right. And eventually, so the brothers begin to understand what is brotherhood, and they begin to form brotherhood amongst the family. And then the next stage is the stage when Moses is a prince in Pharaoh's palace, okay, and he goes out to see his brothers, all right? Now, he's not going out just to see the tribe of Levi, his own tribe. He's going out to see his brothers. The tribe of Levi were not enslaved. It was the other tribes who were enslaved. And he goes out to see his brothers. He sees his brothers suffering. So now the concept of brotherhood is widened beyond the immediate family. It's widened beyond the immediate tribe. And that is what Yehuda started when he became a guarantor with Binyamin. Okay, he's widened the concept of brotherhood beyond family. I mean, he does Yehuda and Binyamin, but it's two opposites uniting. So here it's in the same family, but eventually it's going to be two tribes, okay? And then because Yehuda and Binyamin are two different tribes, which now become one, all right? Then you can see that Moses already, when he comes out, Moshe, when he comes out to look for his brothers, it's widened beyond the nuclear family. It's widened beyond the tribe, and it's Kol Yisrael Arivim Zeh Lezeh, and all Israel are guarantors for each other. So this whole idea of Yehuda coming towards Joseph, and telling him, I'm a guarantor for Binyamin. This is a huge thing. Okay, so we're going to look at this coming together of Yehuda and Yosef, and Yehuda and Binyamin in different ways. First of all, from Rabbi Baruch Shalom. Okay, great. In the Sulam, in the Parasha Sulam, it says, "V'yigash elav Yehuda," and Yehuda grew close to him. Yehuda who soda nukva, because Yehuda is the inner meaning of the Malchut, Tahainu Tfilah. And the aspect of the Malchut is that the Malchut doesn't have any light of its own. It has to use faith, it has to use prayer. The Yosef, whereas Joseph is the opposite, who sowed Geula. He's the inner meaning of redemption. And the inner meaning of the scripture is that they drew close to each other to unite. Until Joseph was no longer able to refrain. Okay, why wasn't he able to refrain? Yehuda is asking, all right? Yehuda is like offering a prayer, okay? And Joseph's nature is revelation. So Joseph's nature is to bring about the light. So in fact, Joseph and is the Zerampin, and Yehuda is the Malchut, and they need to unite together. So the words of Yehuda are affecting Joseph so much until he's not able to withstand the prayer, and he reveals to them the light. With this understanding, we're able to explain the verse, V'yigash elav Yehuda, and Yehuda drew close to him, to Joseph. And he said, "Oh my master, let me speak a word in the ears of my master. And don't let your anger burn against your servant. Because you are like Pharaoh. Here, the Yehuda is showing us a way, an order. How should we approach prayer? And to ask for God for salvation. Because when a person wants to walk on the true path, and the true path means that we're going to be giving to God for his sake, he begins to see just how far away he is from the truth. And tefillah belongs to the Malchut, Hanikra Yehuda, who's designated as Yehuda, She'amelech, and he was the king. And the children of Israel are the sons of kings, B'nai HaMalchut, the children of the Malchut. Because the Malchut is also designated as Knesset Yisrael. What is Knesset Yisrael? Klal shel neshamot Yisrael is the general collective of all the souls of Israel together. So every single one of us is designated as, in a sense, the king, as in a sense, the aspect of Malchut. So when we come to pray to God, that he should bring us close to his true work, which is called truth. So he says to God, Halo Hamru Chazal, the sages said, Barati Yetzirah, Barati Torah Tavlin. I created the evil inclination, I created the Torah as its healing. Therefore, what I'm asking you, that you should give me the light of the Torah, it's not because I need great light. And that's the correspondence of don't let your anger burn against me. Because I'm not asking for the light of the Torah because I want sort of extra bonuses or something. But I'm asking for what I desperately need. Because you are like Pharaoh. Because there are two kings which rule over each of us. One, Melech Malchei Melachim, one is the king, the supreme king of kings. And the second one is Melech Zachein V'Kasil, the old and foolish king, who is called Pharaoh, who is the will to receive for ourselves alone, within us. Ki kamocha kaparo. What does it mean that you are like Pharaoh? Hainu she'ein ani margish shum gadlut b'Hashem, ela she'ein chashivut b'kedusha. That I feel that I can't see the greatness of God. I don't see that I don't see the importance of holiness. I feel it's the same as the will to receive for myself alone. I obey my will to receive for myself alone, just as I obey as much as I obey you, or even more so. כי אפילו בזמן יותר חשוב, כששניהם עומדים באותו ערך, even at the most important time, like the best I can achieve, that both of them stand at the same level. והוא צריך להכריע. We need to make a decision. בין לקדושה או חס ושלום לטומאה. Whether in holiness or God forbid for the opposite. וזה נקרא כי כמוך כפרעה. And this is why Yehuda says כי כמוך כפרעה. I don't know how to decide. שניהם באותו משקל. They're both in the same weight. זה כבר זמן הכי חשוב. And that's at the best circumstances. ויש לפעמים שפה יותר חשוב מהקדושה. And there's plenty times when Pharaoh appears to me, my will to receive myself alone, appears to be more important than holiness. אם כן, משהו מבקש מהשם שיגלה לו את אור תורתו. So what Yehuda is asking from God, that he should reveal to him the light of his Torah, מטעם הכרחיות, is a necessity. ולא מטעם שהוא רוצה לגדלות. And not because he wants greatness. ולכן אמר, ואל יכאבך בעבדך. And that's why he said, don't let your anger burn against your servant. וזה פירוש, and this is the inner meaning of, ויגש אליו יהודה, and Yehuda drew close to Yosef, שאין הגשה אלא תפילה, because there is no drawing close except through prayer, שהוא בחינת מלכות, and that is the attribute of the מלכות. Yosef, on the other hand, who sod geula. Yosef is the aspect of redemption. Ad velo yachol Yosef litapek. So he's asking, he's making the vessel for the light, that's Yehuda, until the light just has to come. Okay? Yosef could not refrain, v'gilalo tamochin, and revealed to him the light. V'zeh perush v'lo amad ish ito bidvada Yosef el echav. And this is the inner meaning of, and no man stood with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. When God reveals himself to a person, there's nobody there. As Adam batel mebchinat nishuto, a person nullifies his own self in the presence of that great light. Then he's able to start to walk on the true way. So this article that we've just looked at isn't so much to do with Joseph and Binyamin. I was thinking about Joseph and Binyamin earlier, which was sort of a different aspect. Here it's the relationship between Yehuda and Joseph. Yehuda is prayer, Joseph is revelation. Okay? And like I said earlier, they're opposites in their relationship to their service of God. And here we see how much they actually need each other. Okay? What do we see? We see that Yehuda is prayer and Yosef needs to fulfill the prayer. It's like Yehuda is the vessel, Yosef is the light. Okay? And so they need each other. Yehuda is Malchut, Yosef is Ze'er Anpin or Yesod, which is part of the Ze'er Anpin. So you can see that although they're opposites, how much they need each other, how much that the connection is important. Okay, has anybody got any questions on that? All right, okay, so let's move on then. This is actually a piece that Rabbi Baruch Shalom copied out from the Zohar. Okay, so it's actual Zohar. V'yigash elav Yehuda, and Yehuda drew close to him. Oh, Devorah, you got a question?
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned, I missed it, because I went away to get water. Sorry. You were talking about Yehuda and Joseph. I understand how different they are, but you mentioned about, I understand that they need each other, and one is the prayer, and Joseph is the Gegula, the revelation. By the way, you mentioned something in between the two. No. You mentioned something about how Jehuda is speaking to Hashem. And I missed that part. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Okay, it's a good question. So what Dvor is really saying is how Yehuda relates to asks is like praying, using the aspect of prayer. He's teaching us also now, okay, how we also, who are the children of the Malchut, he's the aspect of the Malchut, we're also the Malchut, okay? So our relationship follows that of Yehuda. It doesn't follow that of Joseph. It follows that of Yehuda because he is our he's the epitome of the Malchut. So as he approaches he approaches Joseph in prayer, okay, we also need to approach God in prayer because Yosef is the Zerampin. He's the higher level, all right? So God is the higher level than us. So just as Yehuda approaches Yosef and asking him, okay, praying to him basically to release Benjamin and to take him instead, okay? So he's asking him to listen to him, to answer his request, all right? So in the same way, we approach Hashem and we join the prayer to redemption. We join Geula to Tefillah. We join redemption with prayer. We join the two aspects together. Okay, Goal Yisrael, and then we pray. Okay, so he's teaching us how to come to prayer by joining it with the aspect of redemption. Okay, great. All right. V'yigash elav Yehuda. So again, the Zohar looks at this question. Rabbi Elazar patach. Rabbi Elazar opened his discourse. Ki ata avinu. You are our father. Ki Avam lo yadanu, v'Yisrael lo yakirenu. Ata Hashem avinu, go'elenu me'olam shemecha. You are our father. Abraham does not know us, and Israel does not recognize us. You, the Lord, are our father, our Redeemer, or of your name is forever. Basulam, the Sulam says, Ata Avinu, you are our father. Who is Ata? The Malchut. Okay? In other words, the Malchut is our root. So Malchut Nikret Ata Hi Shorshenu. The Malchut, which is designated as you, is our root. Avam lo yadanu. Abraham doesn't know us. כי אף על פי שבו קיום העולם שהוא סוד החסד, שכתוב עולם חסד ייבנה, לא ישתדל עלינו כמו שהשתדל על ישמעאל. Even though Abraham is the basis for the world, which is in the meaning of chesed, because Abraham's midah, Abraham's attribute is chesed, as it's written, Olam chesed yibaneh, the world will be built on loving kindness. Lo ishtadel aleinu, he didn't strive for us as he strived for Ishmael, because what had happened, he prayed over Ishmael. Shamalu lo Ishmael yichyeh lefanecha. He said, may Ishmael live before you. V'Yisrael lo yakirenu v'chule, go'elenu me'olam u'shemecha. And Israel doesn't recognize us. We're not related. Israel is more than the Jacob, okay, is the middle line. He's more related to Joseph, okay? Joseph and Jacob are the same, have the same essence in many ways, both the middle line. Go'elenu me'olam shemecha. Our Redeemer is of your name, because the Malchut Nikret Goel. The Malchut is the aspect of the Redeemer for us, as it's called Malach HaGoel. V'zeu go'elenu me'olam shemecha. Our Redeemer is from the Malchut. למדנו שאין מפסיקים בין גאולה לתפילה. We don't stop between mentioning redemption and prayer, ובין תפילה של יד, תפילה של ראש, or between putting on tefillin of the hand tefillin and tefillin of the head. Yehuda נקרא מלכות תפילה. Yehuda is designated as the malchut, as prayer. Joseph is called Yesod, who's the giver, and he's the redeemer. So we don't stop, we don't make a break between the essence of Joseph, which is redemption, and prayer. But we need to unite them, okay? And then we're able to receive the redemption within us. So the Malchut receives redemption within her, and then we can receive the redemption through the Malchut to us. Tfilah shel yad nikra Malchut, the receiver. Tfilah shel rosh, the tefillin of the head, is called the zerampin, the giver. And we don't make a stop between them. We need to make them into unity. So Joseph would be considered as the male aspect. Yehuda would be considered as the female aspect. Joseph is considered as the light. Yehuda is considered as the vessel. And they need to be one. Okay? Because their unity brings the light and the vessel together in harmony. And it really is the union of opposites. Okay, but male and female is the union of opposites also. All right. So Yehuda and Yosef, it's bringing together the opposites. Now, like I say, like we talked about, Yehuda, in some sense, has already started this when he made that guarantorship with Binyamin. Okay. It's a fascinating idea. It's a fascinating discussion. So I found a very beautiful article of it's Rabbi Nevantzel. I never say his name right. Okay, where it talks about what the meaning of guarantorship actually is. Okay, so again, Binyamin belongs to, it is like if Yosef is the direct light of Yesod, Binyamin is the returned light of Yesod. He belongs to the same Sphira as Yosef, and Yehuda has actually made a guarantorship, and the meaning of guarantorship means literally to become one with what is basically his opposite in spirituality. So I marked out some of the places I wanted to have a look at with you guys. And here it says, can you see it? Okay, I'm not sure you can. Let me just stop the share and make sure you can see it properly. Okay, Mahuta shel Aivut, the inner essence, the essence of guarantorship. What is guarantorship? What is its inner essence? Guarantorship, Aivut Perusha, Lashon Irov Tvarim Ze Beze. Guarantorship is from the language of Irov. Irov in Hebrew means mixing, okay? So like, you're not having two separate entities, they mix together, they integrate with each other, okay, and become one. Im Yehuda Arev Avu Binyamin. If Yehuda has become a guarantor for Binyamin, Parasha Devar, the essence of the matter is, Sheshnei Muravim Yachad. They're now integrated as one unity. Shneim Guf Echad Mu'chad. Both of them are one body united. That's what it really means. Mashal, take for example, Adam Shnaseh Arev L'Chavero B'Halva'a Kaspit. If you take a person who is a guarantor for his friend and he's lent him some money, אין פירוש הדבר שהערב הוא גורם חיצוני, הבא רק להבטיח את השבת הכסף למלווה. It doesn't mean that the guarantor is some external factor who's come simply to ensure that the money gets returned to the lender. אלא מהות ערבות היא, but the issue of guarantorship is שהערב עצמו ליווה את הכסף, that the guarantor himself loaned the money. ולכן כשיש למלווה קושי בגביית החוב מן הלווה, so if the one who lent the money has difficulty getting his money back from the one who took it, כגון שלווה או נכסיו מוצאים במדינת הים, או אפילו כשהלווה לפנינו, maybe the guy who borrowed the money is gone into another country or something. But even if the one who borrowed the money is here present, okay, the borrower, the lender is entitled to take the money straight up directly from the guarantor, even if he doesn't try to get the money back first from the guy who actually borrowed the money. So, do you see what I'm saying? So now you can see how much, so that the guarantor is not somebody just to guarantee that the loan gets paid back. He actually stands instead of the guy who borrowed the money. So, okay, he says, let's say that Judah and Benjamin are as one body. What difference does it make who stays in Egypt, Benjamin or Yehuda? They are one unity now. So Judah maintains, if the ruler of Egypt wants that one of them should work before him, I said, what difference does it make? I'll work instead. Yehuda has now connected himself to Benjamin with a spiritual connection, which there's no division. Okay, you can't say, well, one person is giving up his life at the expense of the other one. No, they're considered as one soul. They're considered as one unit now. Which I find is like extraordinary. Where am I now? 1 second. Now then, the Arevut is forever. 1 second, let me just move here. Oh, it's out of the way. I can't see what I'm doing here. Right, now we can see it. All right. For your servant guarantored the lad, like arev, and the word he's using is became one with. All right, that's what the Hebrew really means. Okay, all right, that is what is really happening here. Yehuda and Benjamin are guarantors forever, for all generations. All right, this is very interesting if you think about it.
Where are you reading from now? I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just you're between both pages. Where are we?
Here, where it says Yehuda and Benjamin, move
Okay,
in the door.
that's clear. Thank you. That's clear.
Okay. We could thought to answer when we're talking about in Sanhedrin, they talk about the division of the land. Okay. And also, it's very interesting. If you actually count how many tribes there are, okay, there's 13. All right. The 12 children of Jacob. All right. But Joseph gets two. Okay. So there's an extra one added. So there's actually 13 tribes. 13, but we could say 12 tribes of Israel. So how do we say 12 when there's actually 13? You add them up, you get 13. So for division of the land, the Levium didn't get a portion in the land. But for every other purpose, when you're counting up the tribes, Yehuda and Binyamin count as one. All right, that's how you get 12 tribes of Israel. Very interesting. All right. Also, they'd have discussion about whether one city can be divided into two tribes. Now, we know Jerusalem has got two tribes, but it's Yehuda and Binyamin. The outer part of Jerusalem is Yehuda. The place of the Beit HaMikdash is Binyamin. How can you have one city with two tribes? The answer is it doesn't count as two tribes. Yehuda and Binyamin count as one tribe. All right. So this guarantorship is, to me, it's amazing how far it goes. So Rav Natan tell us an interesting question, and he says, why was it Yehuda who was able to do this? Why was Yehuda able to make this incredible unity? Okay. And he writes, מסתבר דבר שסגולה נפשית זו של יהודה לתאחד עם הזולת בקשר בל ינתק הוא מיסודות מידת המלוכה שבו. This soul ability of the soul, S-O-U-L, like the סגולה נפשית of Yehuda, to unite with his fellow, and like like I say, Binyamin was his opposite, okay, but in a connection which can never be sundered, is one of the foundations of the aspect of Malchut, which he has. Okay, the issue of we see it with Yehuda. Okay, with the action of with the issue with Tamar. All right, the story of Tamar. Tamar takes responsibility, even though it's very embarrassing for him. Okay, the whole situation, but he takes responsibility for this for what actually happens, and we know that the tribe of Yehuda takes responsibility. Okay, so when the children of Israel are about to cross the Red Sea, they're in terrible panic. The Pharaoh's chariots are behind, the sea's in front. What do we do? It's the from the prince of the tribe of Judah who takes responsibility for all of Am Yisrael and jumps into the sea. And because of his action, the sea divides. So again, Yehuda has the ability to sacrifice his own personal self. He's got the ability to take responsibility, okay? And he is able to take responsibility for others. And this is the characteristic of the king. The Rambam says about the king, Shelibohu lev kol kahal Yisrael. His heart is the heart of all the congregation of Israel. Only one who can take responsibility on the general, on all, is able to include within himself all of Israel and is fit to be a king of Israel. He has to be able to feel the pain of all Israel. ערבות זו עם הכלל מצויה גם ביסודו של סגולת הכהונה. This arivut with each other is also the foundation of the kahuna, of the priesthood. Okay, why did Aaron merit to become a high priest? Both Moses, his brother, is also from the tribe of Levi, but Aaron is chosen to be the father of all the priesthoods, and because when he saw Moses was going to redeem Israel. He wasn't jealous, even though he was the older one, but he was happy in his heart. Okay? So again, to be able to feel the feelings of each other, to be able to sit together in brotherhood is the foundation of Arevut. And the final bit is, of course, is what we said, is when the aspect of the Malchut, which is the aspect of the kingship, if you like, but we have kingship over ourselves and we belong to the Malchut, is to broaden this concept of Arevut from the tribe to all Israel. And Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Lezeh. And this, when we do a good deed, we're helping all Israel go up. When we do a bad deed, God forbid, we affect all Israel and goes down. So we have to understand that our arevut, the inner connection with each other, is ultimate. Okay? So this is he writes here, to what extent is the power of guarantorship, arevut, the integration of one with the other to become one? What is placed upon us to live this guarantorship? How do we take it from the potential to the actual? Laugish shnenu guf echad. How do we come to feel that we are one body? V'she'imu choteh, arei shani atzmi choteh. If we see somebody else sinning, I have to know that it's me, myself, responsible. Okay? It's not just a nice thought or a parable or something. It's this basic guarantorship of Am Yisrael is responsible for each other. We are all integrated with each other. This was the basic foundation and the basic requirement with which we were able to receive the Torah. Because the basis of the Torah, Rabbi Ashlag says, the basis of the Torah is V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. And this is really only possible to do when everybody is in it together. Because if you just start loving your neighbor as yourself, everybody, you can't do it in a vacuum. You've got to have everybody looking out for each other, love your neighbor as yourself, and then the whole thing works. You can't just have some of the people doing it and everybody else not. And this is the reason why we have a unity as a people on the earth. And we can feel this, we can see this. This is the basis of the unity of Am Yisrael. Oh, I see Dvorah has raised a hand. Dvorah Gottfried. Do you want to ask a question?
Yes, I think I was just initially trying to figure out. I guess I don't see, and I kind of do, but I don't see Yehuda and Yosef as opposites. I don't think of them that way. I think of everybody like as one unity working together. I think like when I was envisioning what you were saying, I was thinking of Yetziat Mitzrayim. So before we left, right, we cried out. So it's almost like a tefillah, right? And we cried from our hearts, and we cried in pain. And then there was the redemption. Hashem took us out with a strong hand, outstretched arm. So maybe one is a catalyst for the other, but it's like I see them as unity. And I think it's more of what you're describing with Yehuda and Binyamin. And so, yeah, so that's what I was trying to. I mean, I see like maybe also Gevura and Chesed. I see that as working together. Like I see there's a lot there with working together, and the idea of unity, I think, is more how I see it. So I was just trying to understand that a little bit more.
Okay, so unity doesn't mean that they're all the same. Unity means that we're all different, but we are able to work together. If you look, for example, at the blessings with which Yaakov blessed the 12 tribes, or you look at his 12 sons, or if you look at the blessings with which Moses blessed the tribes before he died, you'll see that every single one has different blessings, and that's because every single one has a different way of serving God. So the 12 tribes means different ways of serving God. So when I'm saying that they're opposites in a sense, they're opposites in the way they serve God. Like Hillel and Shammai are opposites. Hillel basically is working on what's called the correction of creation. Shammai is focused on the end of the final end of creation and the final fulfillment of creation. Okay, so they have a different approach. That doesn't mean to say that they can't unite. On the contrary, when we unite, when we appreciate the differences and still say the purpose of unity, okay, like male and female are different, all right, but they can unite. And then when they unite, then the light and the vessel can come together and they can flow. And the same thing when all Israel unites as one, then we can receive the Torah. Okay? But Rashi says it says Vayichan ha'am neget ha'har, when the meaning that the people encamped opposite the mountain as one man with one heart, Ke'ish echad b'lev echad, but all the other stops were all quarreling. Okay, why are they quarreling? They're not stupid, but because there's different ways of serving God, and to recognize the differences and still be able to find how they fit together is absolutely an incredible job. And so the unity, like which we see being built in these sidra, in these parshiot, from the brothers wanting to murder one of them, okay, to actually uniting to the extent that they become actually one. Yehuda with the brother of Yosef becomes one, all right? To that extent, you can understand what a tremendous transformation has actually taken place, okay? And this is the foundation which eventually brings the people of Israel to stand at Mount Sinai and read the Torah and receive the Torah. So it's I think this is just phenomenal, to be honest, okay, this whole concept. So you're welcome. So just go back to where we were. It says, what is placed upon us to feel, to live this guarantorship, to get it from the potential to the actual, to actually feel that we really are one body. And if somebody sins, it's like I myself sin, okay? Like I have to take responsibility. It says it's not just a nice thought. This is the guarantorship, which is the foundation for receiving the Torah. We have that unity as a people on the face of the planet. Okay, we need to sense if somebody is traveling on Shabbat. It's not that God will just judge him as somebody who's doing something wrong, or like a child who's been kidnapped. It's as if I myself am traveling on Shabbat. Okay? There we are, traveling on Shabbat. Even though I myself might be in the Beit Knesset, or I'm sitting and eating my Sudat Shabbat, but I am also involved in somebody else's sin. Okay, we cannot just say I'm living for myself alone. We are part of and are arevim zeh lezeh. And I think the most incredible expression of this was what happened on October the 7th, when ordinary people ran to save each other. I mean, the country was not saved by the army, particularly on October 7th. The country was saved by ordinary citizens and soldiers who weren't being commanded by their units, but just ran to help each other. What from? From this understanding that Kol Yisrael arevim zeh lezeh. All Israel is guarantors for each other. And this guarantorship begins in this parasha. And I think this is amazing. So, okay. Yeah, Michelle, yeah, you want to ask a question?
Yes, actually, it's a little bit far-fetched, but I'm just wondering, Yedida, right? Yedida or Yedija?
Yedida, Yedida.
Yedida. Okay. On Shabbos, when we have the malacha that you cannot, when when something is in a bowl and you're not allowed to separate. I'm
Right.
wondering if that's really, really the meta message under why that halacha is such that you cannot separate out. I'm just curious if you've come across that yourself. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like,
I do know what you mean. I can't answer
yeah,
that. I don't have the
right.
knowledge to answer
That's
that.
why it's far-fetched. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's an
It's just what
interesting
came
question.
upon me. Yeah.
It's an interesting question, but I don't actually have the knowledge to answer this. Somebody's put something in the chat. I can't actually. Oh, it's beautiful. Just wondering how this can be practical. It seems hopeless in so many ways, with so many doing less than inspiring things. No, I think on the contrary, um, I think what is it in practice? I think that how do you do it in practice? I think that more and more, I don't think you can sort of take on the whole world in one go or anything like that. But more and more, we can see that the world is coming to this. I mean, here we are on a Zoom together. Everybody's from different parts of America or wherever you guys are from. Okay, could be from anywhere. And I'm on Zoom here in Israel. And that's bringing people together in an extraordinary way, which wasn't possible 15 years ago or something like that. So we know much more about what's happening in the rest of the world. Um, we become more sensitive, more aware. And the idea is that arevut is actual the meaning of what I do. My mitzvot help the rest of the world. I'm not separate from the rest of the world. My sins, unfortunately, also affect the rest of the world. It makes you become more aware, first of all, with yourself. Like, I, if I know I might not have much, enthusiasm for doing a particular mitzvah, but if I know that my mitzvah is going to help everybody in the world, I've got an extra motivation to do it. I look at it that way. Okay? That's how I would answer that question. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that part I see. I agree with that part, and it is inspiring to be able to do my own thing in my own place. My question, I guess, is more around that piece that you mentioned about when, other people are doing
yeah.
sins or things that means that like that means that I'm responsible for that. Like, I
Well,
guess that piece.
yeah, okay. So then let's say I noticed that. Let's say that so I can say to myself, okay, so I don't necessarily drive my car on Shabbat, okay? But where am I not looking at my Shabbat? Where am I not valuing my Shabbat? If I'm valuing my Shabbat that in a way that would be a better way or a little bit more deeper or something like that, on the inner, that's going to help somebody else begin to value his Shabbat. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're saying if whatever we perceive on the outside is a reflection of us on the inside, and so it's just digging deeper and seeing what other thing can I do to be mitake in that thing, and when I do it internally in myself and tackle that, then that kind of reflects to wherever. It's
I
like
think
the
that's
particle and antiparticle, even though it's like I could be in in New Jersey and this could be in China, that they're entangled.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that's a beautiful way to express it. Um, I think the thing is that when we see people doing something, for example, like he gave the example of driving a car on Shabbat, and you think to yourself, well, I wouldn't do that. But we're doing something to not value the Shabbat in some sort of way. It might not be the same form, but it is in the say in that direction. So I think, just to,
Yeah. You're basically addressing the Baal Shem Tov's teachings of, what we see in another is really truly a reflection of
yeah,
ourselves. And so if we
yeah.
still perceive it out there, then there's still something to do inside. Yeah.
I think,
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that.
I think
Can
what's
I,
fascinating, yeah, go on, yeah.
I wanted to chime in. Hi, Zizi. I'll tell you why. Because as I was, so as you were saying about Shabbos and how we keep Shabbos, right? That's exactly my point. If we, even to the extent that we follow a malacha or halacha about how we deal with something in a bowl that's not separating out, or like laundry, don't look for the socks because you're not allowed to look in it. You know what I'm trying to say? Like even following that halacha down to the wire is a way of keeping Shabbos in a properly. And if we don't, do you know what I'm trying to say? You're saying, where do we fall short in our own observance of Shabbos? So anything on Shabbos that has this concept of mixing, of uniting, it could come across any malacha. The first thing I just thought of was a bowl of like nuts and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a very proper way of deciding what you can take out or not. And I feel that if we hone in on that too, even though it seems trivial, but it's not. Do you know what I'm saying?
Of course I do. Absolutely. I mean,
That's what I meant.
yeah, absolutely. First of all, you might be right. I mean, I've no idea. I'm not able to tell you that this particular halacha is to do with arevot and it's in the meaning because I don't know. I mean, but it sounds a fascinating idea. But I think in general, what he does say here is that if we see, people, for example, desecrating Shabbat, instead of getting angry with them, I can start to look and see, well, where am I not valuing the Shabbat? Because it's exactly what Zisi said about it from the Baal Shem Tov. Anything that I see outside myself is actually a reflection of something within me. But where does it begin? It begins with the arevut. That is true because of the arevut. It's because of that basic arevut, that Kol Yisrael arevim zeh lezeh. That's what makes what the Baal Shem Tov says true. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a fundamental basis to that. Now, what you asked about that particular Malacha on Shabbat, I don't know the Ta'amei mitzvot. So, I mean, you have to, find somebody who does. I can't answer that and say, well, that particular mitzvah illustrates arevut. I don't know if it does or it doesn't. It's a nice idea, but can't tell you whether it does.
100%. But I think I agree with you, but I think it's interesting that we could extrapolate that because I could see myself, let's say in the morning, my kids are like, where's my XYZ? And I'll go to the laundry basket and I have to pause, like, am I allowed to go in it or am I not? I have to think like, where's the value? I know that, that's what I meant also. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And everybody where at their level, what their level of observance is, okay, people are all different levels. Okay, we can just say, okay, where am I valuing Shabbat? Okay, whatever it happens to be. Okay, whatever we're looking at. Okay, if I see something outside myself, then I have to see it within myself, and everybody at their particular level. Okay,
Right. I think that's an important piece. Like Michaliba, I feel like if to you it's coming about, making the separation between laundry or something else, maybe in your plate, like that's within your, sphere of awareness or consciousness. That's like where your level of Shabbos or keeping Shabbos is up to. But each one of us, for some of us, that's not where we are. For some of us, we're on totally different levels. So whatever comes into our consciousness of, oh, how can I be more Shomer Shabbos? What would be, something that would be more Shomer Shabbos for me personally, whatever that is, that's where I think, we need to look at.
Yeah, well,
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, and also I think there's another factor, which is it's not necessarily the outer halacha. Okay, it's also what's my intention, what's my feeling, what's my value. Okay, am I valuing what I'm doing? Because people can keep outward halachot, okay, and yet the mind is somewhere else completely, the heart is somewhere else completely. And the work of Rabbi Ashlag is very much to do with that you need the outer action, but you also need the inner intention. So it could be that, I might want to say, okay, on my intention of keeping Shabbat, and we're just talking about Shabbat as one example, my intention of keeping Shabbat. What's my intention? Am I eating my Shabbos meal because it's the best meal of the week and I'm hungry after shul? Or am I eating the Shabbat meal because I really want to thank God and praise Him and celebrate the Shabbat? I mean, there's two different intentions there, but we can get real and say, well, sometimes I'm just eating my Shabbos meal because I'm hungry. Okay, well, that's not a very high intention. All right, I might be keeping the malacha, I'm keeping the actual halacha there, but I'm not actually intending it. So there's lots of different ways of looking at, how we approach something, and to see how we can, you know, and so he's saying, like, take responsibility of what's happening around, okay, and just simply by seeing what I can do within myself. Okay, great. That was a good discussion. Thank you so much, everybody. Amazing. Anybody else want to add anything? Oh yeah. Okay. So I think we've done a good learning this week, and thank you very much for joining me. Appreciate you all. Okay, and have a wonderful Shabbat.
Thank you,
Thank-
Yudit.
Thank you.
Thank
This was
you,
very
Dee.
beautiful. Thank you.
Shabbat
This was an
shalom.
absolutely, may I add, this is an
you.
absolutely incredible teaching today.
Thank you, Dixie.
It just bring out so much of the, it's hard to grasp words, but it was so informative and just things that we don't really think about all the time.
Yeah.
I thank Hashem for this incredible teaching today and you.
Well, thank you very much. And bless you, Dixie. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you for
Shalom.
joining
Thank
me.
you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.